defining your job search target, gathering a list of companies that you are interested in, identifying decision makers, developing some outreach templates. Again, I've got templates on my LinkedIn profile that you can find in my articles. Creating a tailored CV or resume that's tailored to every single position. That's very important. Again, we'll talk about that later. Building a fully branded, well-branded, fully complete LinkedIn profile. Just because your LinkedIn profile is complete doesn't mean it's optimized. So you really need to be open to recruiters on the platform. You also really need to have a strong headline with the right keywords. You need to have a strong summary section, and also the keywords from the descriptions. It's also very important that you don't just apply online. If you rely on applying, honestly, you could for a very long, because it's quite frustrating, because I see jobs that apparently they close, but then the companies keep advertising them for months on end. You don't know, often by the time you apply, the company might already be on the interview stage. Think about the problems that companies are facing as well, and be ready to offer solutions. So try to decode the job listings and emphasize the most valuable qualifications in your summary section or in your cover letter. And really, be ready to offer solutions. It's a challenging time for companies as well as people who are looking for work. You can show the hiring manager that you've got what it takes to help the company succeed. You will increase your chances of getting hired. Personal branding is also more than ever. So what shows up when someone Googles your name, when they look you up on LinkedIn? The way you show up online matters. So if you want to stand out, you need to control your online presence. So not involved online, start doing that now. Write posts on LinkedIn or blog on medium.com or engage in general, because that's how you're going to get noticed. And also make an effort to stay positive. I know it's a really, really challenging time for a lot of people. I typically do recruitment and coaching. My last recruitment contract ended in April, and it's only now that I have, interviews or things that actually interest me. It's been a very challenging time because the job market was pretty dead for the positions I was interested in. So I know how hard it might be, just to wait for the right opportunity. But when those, negative feelings start to creep in, just remember as many of your past successes and wins as you can. So where were you? What were you doing? Because that will trick your brain into thinking that those same experiences are happening now, and it will help to realize you. And also ask questions, so instead of asking yourself, why didn't I get the job? What did I do to be made redundant? Ask yourself what and how. So your focus is redirected to solutions approach. So ask yourself, what can I do better next time? How can I really nail an interview specific company? And also self-care is important, especially now in this lockdown situation. So eating healthy and exercising and looking after yourself very well. And being patient is really the final one. It might be the hardest part, because patience during the job search is never easy. But right now, given the of the market, the process is often taking a lot longer. So if you enter an interviewing process, be sure to ask your point of contact for the expected timeline of the next step. However, a very good thing about looking for a job in November and December is that the jobs open now, they are typically urgent, and employers want to fill them before Christmas. So if you're thinking, no one is hiring now, Christmas is coming, I'll wait till January, really don't, because the jobs that are open now, they are urgent. Most employers, if they could wait till January, they would have waited till January. So now is honestly a really good time to start looking. Of course, hiring goes down from mid-December to mid-January, but it's a really good time to look forward right now. So how to improve your online networking skills? It's sometimes asked if it's worth trying to network during a major recession, or if it's maybe insensitive to ask for help right now, because so many people are overwhelmed and stressed. A lot of my friends who are working right now, they're literally doing like 2 or 3 people and working really long hours. So it's true that many people are in a major transition right now, and the pandemic is affecting everyone, maybe in different ways. And maybe the professional HR too, they could be overwhelmed, and maybe they have more on the to-do list that they can handle. So asking someone you don't have any relationship with, to invest in social capital, in you might come across as potentially tone deaf. So to start with, I would really recommend contacting people that you already have established relationships with, even if you haven't spoken to them for a while. So, could be previous colleagues, family, or friends. You honestly might not be aware of who do you know who could be looking for someone just like you. Many opportunities will come from your second or third level contracts introduced by a primary contact. I remember a few years ago, I mentioned to someone completely random who I used to work with what I'm looking for, and 3 days later she sent me this opportunity. It actually was on LinkedIn, but I haven't seen it. And anyway, cut the long story short, I got the job, applied, and ended up working there for 3 years. So you just never know where it's going to come from. So many job seekers overlook the people in their own backyard because they think, they're not in the same industry, or they don't believe that they can help. But even though they might not have a job for you as such, you just never know who they know, or who are the other people that they know who might have access to these opportunities. So really, one of the biggest mistakes, networking mistakes, is to think that you have to start with distant strangers. Someone just takes one conversation with someone about your career goal, that will make you hear about the specific opportunity. So while you should start with people you know, or connect with dormant contacts, maybe people you've worked with before, I would still recommend that you request informational interviews with some people who might be strangers working in your target companies. I will actually share a template of what you can say, so feel free to take a screenshot of that at a later stage. Just don't interrogate people about their careers. You're really asking for information, not for a job, and create a space for making your questions and conversations as comfortable as possible. So prepare and ask them specific questions. But in general, your best contacts will be insiders within the organizations, and always better to ask for information as opposed to asking for a job, unless you're actually talking to the recruiter. So, what you might ask when you talk to someone is how the industry is doing, the industry, what the company that they work for is like to work for, if they know of any relevant openings, or even for the name of the decision maker who would hire someone like you, even if the person is not hiring at present. I mean, would you do it in the first email exchange? Probably not, but you can do that when you speak to them. And yes, don't ask them to directly help you find a job, because it just puts too much pressure on people. I get so many emails from random people who are like, oh, I'm looking for a job, but they haven't even clearly checked what I do. So yeah, ask them more for information, and definitely don't just talk about yourself. So basic networking email rules: whether you email someone, send a message on LinkedIn, don't ask for too much too soon. Like, oh, can you my CV and do this and do that? I'm like, I don't have time to respond to all these random strangers, especially if they haven't actually, if we've never been in contact before, so you don't ask for too much too soon. Send a message, show that you've done some research on them, be clear also in asking for the information you want. Don't ask for a job. Write short paragraphs. Someone sent me recently, this massive long email. I've never even spoken to them before. Use a clear and concise subject line, and make it easy for someone to respond or take action. So let's say you're contacting someone, you can just suggest, I'll be very grateful for just 10 minutes of the time. Or if it's easier, can I send you your questions via email? Just make it easy. Don't make them think you're gonna take half an hour of the time. You can just say, I'll be grateful for just 10 or 15 minutes of your time. So what can you include in your email or a LinkedIn message? So I will share an example in a moment, but in general, you want to be personable, friendly, ask them how they're doing. If you know them, or maybe you don't know them well, but you've met them, or you have a connection in common, mention that. So remind them how you know each other, or if you have a connection in common, I would mention it as well. State what you're asking for. So maybe it's advice, maybe it's recommendation. Remind them of your course, thank them in advance for the corporation. So here's just an example, and I'm not gonna read through the whole email, but feel free to take a screenshot of that if you're interested. But just in general, the structure of the email, friendly, is like, hope you're doing well and staying safe. Mention why you're reaching out. So maybe you've been made redundant, maybe you just lost your job, maybe you're just looking for a new opportunity. Then mention what is that you're looking for, and basically why are you contacting them? What's the reason you are for this informational meeting? And ask them if they'll be free to speak to you for just 10 minutes, on the phone or video, or even even just, respond by email. And then just, insights and advice would be valuable, and again, like a bit in a genuine way. So that's just an example of something that you can do that can really expand chances of getting hired. If you have a list of 50 companies, if you contact 2-3 people in every organization, will everyone respond? No, of course not, no matter how good your email is. But you should be able to expand your network and also expand chances of hearing about more opportunities. So very quickly, since we're on the topic of networking, how not to work with a recruiter. Now, I'm not saying recruiters are perfect. I know there are a lot of really poor ones who don't give you feedback, etc. But just in general, let's say you work with a good recruiter, let's say an internal recruiter, which is what I've done, or an agency recruiter. So basically, what I often receive is someone who hasn't actually read my profile, and they're looking for a job, but I've never recruited for jobs like that, and it's very obvious from my profile that I don't have that industry experience. So I will always help someone who's done some research. They know what company I actually work for. They know what I do, even if they don't know in detail. They know I recruit in the technology sector. I get all these random people looking for job in investment banking, oil and gas sector. So read the profile. Don't send this generic message. Some people seem to be sending these messages, with 30 other people on BCC. That's really the easiest way for your email to get deleted. So personalize your message, which is what I was saying earlier. If we've met before, remind me how we've met. Don't make recruiters do the work for you. Don't ask them, oh, do you have any jobs available? Well, check first online if they have any jobs available, and be very clear what you offer and exactly what opportunity you're looking for. And also, don't always ask for help, so offer to help as well. So maybe you can refer someone from my position. If you don't know how to help, you can just say a generic, please let me know if I can help in any way. So when you send email suggesting that you've done some research, you read my profile, I'll be very happy to help you if I can. I might not be able to do that immediately, but I will be happy to, recommend you to someone else. When I worked for 4 years, I stayed in contact with loads of candidates who had great profiles. They were just not suitable for current vacancies, but we hired a lot of them later on. So following up is important as well. I don't mean chasing the recruiter weekly in the current project, unless you're actually interviewing with them. But staying at the front of the mind will ensure that the recruiter is more likely to think of you when a suitable role becomes available. So let's move on to the next section. What recruiters are looking for on your CV. The first thing employers are thinking when they evaluate your CV, your resume, is, does this person have the experience necessary to come in, learn this role successfully, and start contributing to our efforts quickly? So the best way to see that is obviously look at what you publish for other employers. So I would really recommend that you spend more time on this section than any other part, some summary section, and that you have some, like, if there's something on the job description that you've done, make sure it's on your resume, and make sure that you have some quantifiable achievements, which we will talk about later. So that's obviously a very important section, that you make it clear that you have relevant experience. Then the company recognition. So it's not that some companies are better than others, although some most certainly are. It's mostly like how quickly I can assign a frame of reference. So, that's also known as credibility. So, you've worked on Amazon, you've probably accustomed to working on projects at scale. Maybe you're at a well-known crash and burn startup, then you've probably worn many hats and have been running at a sprinter's pace. So there are some pretty blatant associations that recruiters can make based on their experience of working in a specific industry. They notice some patterns. Now, obviously, there are just assumptions. Obviously, we could be wrong, but assigning a frame of reference is more difficult if the candidate has only worked for some obscure companies I've never heard of. So if you maybe work for a company that's not that well known, have maybe like a line or two line companies to size, etc. Then the overall experience, your story, your career progression. So is there progression? A lot of recruiters and hiring managers will be looking for that. Like, does this person have increasing levels of responsibility? Do the titles make sense? I mean, a VP of marketing in a 10-people company is not the same as a VP of marketing in a 5,000-people company. So I'm also looking at the job titles, responsibilities you've held, dates of employment, how long you've been with each employer, and also try to progression when you can, within companies and when changing between companies. So even if you received a slight upgrade, like from associate to associate, make sure that you highlight that on your CV. Then the keywords are very important. So, if there are any specific keywords on the job description that are mentioned on the job description, just make sure that you have the same keywords on your CV. I'm talking mostly about hard skills, and also on your LinkedIn profile. So if I'm looking for JavaScript engineer, then obviously that skill needs to be on your CV. Then overall organization, that's spelling, grammar, ease of use, ability to clearly present ideas, and personal online footprint as well. So that's not necessary, but if you have links to your Twitter or GitHub or LinkedIn, I'm going to look. So just make sure that you don't have any pictures or information online that could put you in a negative light. So I think I have a few more minutes. So how do you list achievements? So I think most people are aware of the STAR format of listing achievements. STAR stands for situation, task, action, result, in case you're not aware. But in general, a bit further. So this is just a framework. And again, feel free to take a screenshot. So time frame. Over what time frame did you work on a task? If you worked on a project that took 2 years, that's obviously more complex than a project that took 2 weeks, right? So make that clear. So maybe 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Or how many times a week did you work on the task? Then the scale, how many people did you manage maybe? Maybe you manage a team of 5 software engineers. Maybe you've managed a specific budget. Or how many customers you've worked with. And then the result. Ideally, you want the tangible results. So if you've done something that saved time, saved money, streamline the procedure, then make sure you include that as well. So feel free to take a screen of this page if you wish. Just realize we have a few more minutes and I still have a few more slides. So
actually, we have now 5 more minutes, which I was wanting to use for questions because we had some great questions.
Yes, so, I'm going to just rush quickly through just a few more slides. Basically, answer the question posed. Yes, how can you solve my problem? How can you improve the organization? Remove any kind of responsible for or duties included, and use action verbs to tell your story with impact. Action verbs like managed, negotiated, influenced, and quantify with measurable components wherever possible. So you can show how. See, I'm not going to do that because I want to show you some other examples, but include some numbers. You can show how many. You show how much. Maybe how you've increased cost or reduced cost. Show how often. So even if you're an admin assistant, which sounds better, answer the front desk or manage switchboard with 10 incoming lines. So just some examples here. Again, I'm not going to read through that, but these are just some examples of how you can quantify your experience. So, project manager, completed 6 projects, generating how much in revenue, or single point of over 15 clients. Or as a software engineer, maybe increase efficiency 30%. So, that's just examples. Some more examples here. Digital marketing manager, revamped copy. How much did you increase conversions? How much did you improve user engagement by? So just in general, numbers easily impress people. So see how you can quantify your experience. Or SEO specialist or data analyst. So you can see numbers here, right? Publish 10 plus articles, build 40 links, grew monthly traffic from 0 to 200,000.
Maybe people can take screenshots. I like this idea.
Take screenshots. And I can share the PDF with the slides if you want.
Yeah.
Later, so I know, feel free to take screenshots of that. But I'm hoping that it's giving you some ideas. And that's basically an example.
You already got some compliments in the chat that this is such a valuable content, that this is a lot.
Oh no, I'm really glad I'm really glad you, whoever is finding that useful. So this is actually an example I had in my online course, which again, I can share a PDF with the slides if you want.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So we can.
Yeah, I'll share that. Great examples. I know I'm doing a lot of stuff, and this could be like a half-a-day workshop. I'm kind of rushing through, and I have about. So, that's just an example of a CV actually included in my online course, but just in general, this is a good CV format. You have a summary section that's keyword optimized or optimal search. This is the most important skills and achievements you have. Then the core competency section, tailor that to every specific position. And then experience, have it achievements oriented, how do you know you've done a good job? Why was your manager happy with your work? What do people come to you for? So as I mentioned, forget the responsible for duties included. Boring doesn't make you stand out. Use the action verbs. So cover letter, it's gonna be super quick, but basically, if you ask to provide a cover letter, don't send this really generic, vague cover letter that says basically absolutely nothing. It's really a chance to show them the why behind the CV, especially if you're applying for a job that's maybe not like 100% right for your specific experience. So honestly, unless you work in the public sector, they need this like long personal statements, cover letter, keep it half a page, who you are, one sentence, one paragraph, highlight what you are fit based on the job description, mention at least one specific and tell them you're interested in a company. Honestly, that's all you need. So keep it brief and keep it simple. So just very quickly, and that's literally, I'm gonna spend just 15 seconds on that. Anyone who, I've got this online course, the link there, and feel free to take a screenshot, but I have an online course that's on sale from just 97 to 39 pounds. And anyone who gets that from this event, you will get a free 20-minute coaching session. So that's pretty much for free, because I mean the online course is already included, and I charge a lot more than that for a 20-minute coaching session. So if you're interested, you will get a lot. You will get the CV samples, you will get a resume and LinkedIn profile checklist, you will get sample networking emails, 5 other webinars, you will even get salary negotiation scripts and examples of competency-based questions and answers. So if you do get that, just send me an email at margaret@interview-coach.com. But you got the link here, and you will get the PDF with the slides as well. And feel free to connect with me. I'm mostly on LinkedIn, the other stuff, and on YouTube. And that's my email here as well. Margaret@interview-coach. So, okay, I'm done on time, a little bit maybe over time.
Well, and I can also give you a little bit of extra minutes until our next speaker starts, because we had some great questions. I would really like to.
So could I stop sharing the screen now?
Yes, you can. Yeah. If everyone got your email address, if you want, you can post your email address in the chat as well, so it makes it easier to connect with you, to get the slides. And then thank you also for this great offer that you do to all the listeners for that free coaching and including the package.
Yeah, so. I will send that later via email. So where do I add the questions? I can't see them.
So the first question was from Janine, and I really liked her question because she said she is still a junior. She is an iOS developer, and most companies want 3 years of experience. What would you suggest to her?
Well, I think it depends on the company, because if they're looking for at least 3 years and you have 6 months, then unfortunately you will not be considered. But it's also what have you achieved during that time, because sometimes someone who has 1 year of experience, but they can sell themselves really well, they have really specific tangible achievements, they could be a better candidate than the candidate with 3 years of experience. So it's how you position yourself. It also depends on how many other people are looking, because if they have loads of people with 3 to 5 years of experience and you have 1, you might. But, how you position yourself. So the examples I was sharing earlier, make sure you have some tangible examples. How did you really make an impact? How did you add value? So it's all about how you position yourself. I mean, is it going to be guaranteed you will get an interview? Of course not. But you can just increase your chances by making your CV very oriented.
So maybe I connect with Rebile. He asked, so what can he do if he has 0 experience, because he wants to change the field, if he wants to be start new in the industry, in the section? How can you approach a recruiter?
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to know without actually knowing what you've done before and how it's transferable. So, feel free to send me an email with more information. I'll be happy to respond via email. But in general, I wouldn't bother with recruiters, because recruiters are paid to find someone who's a perfect fit for the job. If you are looking to change completely, and I'm not sure whether you're looking to change completely or whether it's just slightly different, but in general, recruiters won't be able to help you. It's not their job to coach you on your career, to help you change your career. That's not the job of the recruiter. The job of the recruiter is to find someone who's a perfect fit for a position they're currently recruiting for. So your best bet would be networking, would be contacting companies directly, contacting hiring managers directly. Make sure you emphasize your relevant transferable skills as well. But I would not rely on recruiters here. I really don't think they can help you.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. I mean, of course, once there's a position and the recruiter has to hunt for this position, it probably not makes sense to come in with 0 experience. But networking in that case is probably the
I really, but it's hard to change careers. Let's be honest, it's very hard. It's hard to change find a job right now in any case, even if you have experience. So, so yeah, I wouldn't rely on recruiters. If you have specific questions, honestly, like feel free to send me an email on, Margaret@interview-coach.co.uk. I can maybe give you something more specific, but just without knowing what you've done and what you're looking for, I would just say forget about recruiters if you're changing careers.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So you have also recruited overseas, and there was one question from Sri Kumar. Can we apply for jobs from overseas and employer accept them, or at least interviewing us? Yeah.
I would say absolutely yes, unless you are not eligible to work in a specific country. Because unfortunately, I'm not saying it's impossible, because I have worked for companies that they've hired, they sponsored engineers who already had a tier 2 visa. So, I mean, most employers will not sponsor you, even if you have the perfect skill set for the role, because there are enough people. I'm talking about in the UK, right? I got so many applications from people from countries outside of the EU. I'm not working in recruitment now, but just in general, in most of my roles, and I couldn't consider them. Some of them were amazing, but it's expensive process. It's a time-consuming process, and if you have candidates who have the same skills in a local country, why hire someone from abroad, So, but if you're just applying to work in a country where you're eligible to work, yeah, I mean, absolutely. But again, it depends on the role, because what you do, if you're an engineer, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you work in France or Germany, right? I mean, mind you, mostly need to speak the language. But if you work in sales, well, you typically need more contacts, local contacts. So yes, I apply to work in other countries, but you make sure that you're eligible to work in that country, because, yeah, it's hard with the work permits. If you have some skill set that's super hard to find, it's obviously going to be easier. If you're like a developer with some skills that are really hard to find, it might be easier. If you have 2 years of experience, I mean, forget it. Like, why? Why go through that process when you have so many people looking for work?
And especially if we dig down into this, maybe an application from India for management position, like project management.
No, I mean, to be honest, I was getting so many CVs from India, and honestly, some really candidates. I think India is fantastic for technical skills that honestly I couldn't ever consider any of them. I couldn't. None of the managers wanted to do that. Nobody wanted to bother with relocation. Nobody wanted to wait the months it would take when you have people looking for work in the and also in many countries. Like in my last contract, I was actually we did hire a lot of amazing engineers from India, but they were permanent and they were already speaking. I don't know obviously how they got there in the first place. But they speak some German. Many countries in Europe, from my experience, you really need to speak the language. German and France being really prime examples. Like, honestly, forget about getting the job. I mean, maybe there will be one occasional exception, but in general, you need to speak the language in many of these countries. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard because the company needs to prove that they can't find someone with relevant skills in a specific country before looking at someone from abroad.
And how can people know how desperate, let's say, how desperate the company is to hire from abroad, that there is...
Well, I guess you will find out if they contact you, right, if they're desperate, but most of the time they will not be desperate, because especially right now, there are so many candidates looking for work. I think, my experience, I've been in recruitment for 15 years. Honestly, the only times we've hired, we sponsored someone, and not from India, they already were in a specific country, where if they were like senior developers, senior testers with some skills to find, maybe like a senior director level in business development, but they had some. It's really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
You also mentioned in your presentation that you when we apply, that we can offer to help the recruiters. What actually did you mean by that? What is helping recruiters?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't. I mean, I guess in just initial email, you could just say, "If I can do anything for you, let me know." But just in general, like, don't just ask for help all the time. It's not all about you. Like, maybe, typically the recruiter has some other positions open, so maybe you can recommend someone for a position they're currently recruiting for. So it just could be something like that, potential recommendation if you have one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. There's also one good question. I really like this one from Harvard. He asks, like, what are good job titles to look for in companies if you're an entrepreneur? So if you have worked in in your own company, what skill set do you bring that could be attractive for people to hire?
Well, I think that's a very generic question. That's very hard for me to answer without knowing what you've done, because are you like, are you a solopreneur? Like, do you have I don't know, do you sell cars, or, have you built like an online business? I think that's a very, I can't actually answer that question here. But in general, I think to answer in a very general way, if you're an entrepreneur, you've probably done sales, you've probably got clients. So potentially some business development roles, but again, it has to be relevant. You need to do a lot of research. You have to make it specific to the company. You need to, ideally you would look at companies in which you already have experience in that specific industry. So I think it depends on what you've done, because what was your role? Like if you set up the whole business, I imagine that you have a lot of the project management, business development skills, potentially marketing. But then again, a lot of companies are looking very, a specific skill set, and so it's hard to answer in a generic way. I would really need to understand what you've done and what is that you're looking for ideally. But basically, just think of I would just look at the company that interests you, look at the job descriptions and see where it might be a fit. But I just want to say it's not impossible to get a job in a corporate after working as an entrepreneur for a while. I mean, I've seen that happen. Is it harder? Yes, it is, but it's not impossible.
So harder for big companies, like for enterprises?
No. What I mean is if you've done, I think it depends on what you've done and for how long. I've recently worked with someone who she worked for Facebook for many years, something in business development, in media. I actually don't remember exactly what it was, several weeks ago. And then she went to another country in Europe, and she has her juice bar for a couple of years. Anyway, she came back. And basically, she's looking for another job similar to what she's done before. So this actually wasn't that difficult, because she only had these 2 years of doing something else. It was a good experience. She gained some new skills, but she had a very solid experience from before. If you had spent, the last 10 years yourself, and now you want a corporate job, I think the question would be why. Do you actually really want that job? Have you ever worked in a corporate? Or are you just looking for some paycheck because you're struggling financially in your own business? So I think that's what you need to be able to answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm like a solopreneur, and I'm also wondering if people would, what can I provide to a company, because I have a complete different mindset. I'm so I make decisions on my own. I'm like, I don't even know if that's interesting to hire a free spirit.
I think it can be. There's so many different companies and so many different jobs. So and especially now with COVID, so many jobs are done remotely. So the opportunities are there, but it's just finding the right match. That's always a challenge. COVID or no COVID, that's always a challenge.
COVID or no COVID, you're absolutely right. Oh, there's a question on sponsorships in this COVID-19 situation, and if there are any website, job portals, etc., to check for jobs that offer sponsorship.
To be honest, that's kind of what I was discussing earlier. I don't know about websites because I'm actually not working in recruitment right now. But just from my experience of recruiting for tech companies for many, many years, most of them will not sponsor you. You can be the best candidate, they still won't sponsor you if they have enough candidates with relevant skills. The only thing you can do, I would say, is that there is where is the list? But it's published by the government. You can check if the company you are interested in has a sponsorship license, because that at least means that sometimes they will sponsor candidates. But unfortunately, it's not even the matter. Often I wish I could hire someone and sponsor them, as in, when I work for a company, because they have great skill set, but it's so hard, and it's also a very limited number of people you can sponsor per year. So I think the entire UK, I was a few years ago, but I don't think it's changed much. The entire UK would only get just over 20,000 licenses per year. The entire UK. So look how many thousands of companies. I'm not sure if I got the number right, but I think I did. I think I got the number right. So so you can check which company has a sponsorship license, because that, at least, they sometimes do that.
Yeah. That totally makes sense, and I couldn't answer myself either. It's a very unfortunate situation, I guess. Are you seeing any trends of companies hiring remote positions in increasingly, especially looking at India?
To be honest, I don't, but I don't think I'm the best person to answer that, because I'm actually not working in recruitment right now, and I haven't worked in recruitment for a few years. But why would they actually hire someone? Just you need to ask yourself, why would they hire someone in India? There are so many people who are without work right now. and many qualified people have lost their jobs. No, I'm not seeing that trend. I've not heard of that trend, and I have some friends working in recruitment now. I haven't seen that trend, but are people hiring more jobs remotely? Well, yeah, because most people are working from home right now. But it's still a challenge later because COVID will change at some stage. So you can't just like hire someone. What if you don't have a legal entity in that specific country? It's really not that easy as, oh, let's hire someone in India because you work from home anyway. It doesn't work that way. You still need probably, like, what contract would you give them? You can't give them a UK contract if they're based in India. You can't hire someone in India if you don't have a legal entity in that specific country. So it's really not it's not so simple.
Yeah. So I see as one of the answers, Dennis says, because they could pay less. Is that something?
Yes, of course. I think companies looking at optimizing costs. That's why, as an example, engineers. Why are some of the companies going to Poland or Ukraine right now? Because it's still a little bit cheaper than the UK, but it's just easier to hire someone in Europe than, and I think typically when companies hire in India, in India, like Expedia hired in India, but they were based in India. They didn't want to relocate them, so they opened an office, so it's cheaper, but not necessarily to bring them to the UK. That's actually really not cheap at all. The relocation package is like 50,000. 50,000 the relocation package, if you deal with a company, it's like 5,000 for the visa. But it's actually not about the money, it's more about the time and having to prove to the UK border authority that you can't find someone with relevant skills by running labor market tests. It's like really not easy. I think especially right now, I would imagine it's even harder because so much unemployment.
Yeah. So actually, I would love to take a couple more minutes answering a couple of questions.
Sure.
But not regarding remote and the positions in India, more like be more generic. So did you notice a different kind of behavior when women apply for jobs and when men apply for jobs?
No, not necessarily. No, I wouldn't say that. I think, people are individual, and I think it also depends which job. But not necessarily. I think, maybe one thing is that in general, but that's a very huge generalization. I think sometimes women will wait until they have like 100% of the requirements of the job description, while guys will apply even if they don't. So maybe that's a difference. And I think sometimes men are maybe a little bit better at negotiating salaries. They will always ask, whereas women don't always do that. But that doesn't, not everyone is like that. So
encourage women to just send an application, even you only fulfill.
Well, yeah, to be honest, if you only have 50% of the requirements, no, don't bother, because you're not going to get an interview probably. Like, you need to have the requirements, but you don't need to have 100% of the requirements. And I think also look at the job description, because the first requirements are the most important ones. So if there are some things that are mentioned, this is an absolute must, and you haven't got that, wasting your time and their time by applying. When I was looking for a fluent German speaker, and basically 10% of people who applied spoke German. I don't know what they were hoping for, but that was obviously a waste of time. And that was like the second requirement on the job description. But also don't think you need to have 100% of the requirements, because the job description is always written with a perfect candidate in mind. The perfect candidate might not exist. You might have some other amazing skills. If you have most of the skills, if you're a good cultural fit, I think you have a very good chance of getting the job.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting approach. Oh, there's one more question coming in, and it's back regarding to migrating or like working from another place. What would you suggest to get a job in Europe if it's hard to get sponsorship?
I have no idea, because I get so many people who ask me that, and I can't do anything for them. Like, I wish I could give you all a job, but I can't, because most companies, they're not going to do that, because there are more than qualified candidates here. So I get this seriously daily email. I mean, not right now, but when I was working in recruitment, like, I would get these daily emails from people, how do I get a job in Europe? I'm like, I really can't help you. Like, I really wish, because some of these people have fantastic skills, absolutely fantastic skills. But typically Europe wants local language and no one who's already there. It's just easier. And if they have enough candidates, why go through the whole process of sponsorship just because someone wants to work in Europe? So you need to But I don't want to make it sound like it's impossible. I would just say it's very hard, because clearly there are some already there. Like, I've seen people, Tata Consultancy.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, they must be hiring people from, because obviously loads of people they've hired in India, like in Germany and stuff. So there must be companies that bring these people to Europe. But I've seen that in Tata Consultancy, but yeah, not so much with others. But I just don't want to say it's never going to happen. I don't want to be like so negative, but I'm just saying it's extremely hard, and they will only look at you if they really can't find anyone of relevant skills. So it's not personal. It's just, it's the need of the business.
Would you still say that applying in the tech space is still more fortunate than applying in different areas?
Well, I don't know, because obviously my experience is in tech space, so I can't really, I have no idea what the situation is like in financial services or, automotive space. So I can't really answer that question. I think just all over, when you look at different industries, how they've been affected by COVID, like technology industry as a whole, and obviously there are so many different sectors, it's still doing pretty well. Okay, not everyone is growing and recruiting, but they not the same as aviation, for example. So so I can't really compare, with sectors that are not recruited. I wouldn't just want to give you my assumptions, but just when you look at which industries are doing pretty well, which have been least affected by COVID, say tech industry in general.
Yeah. So you had such a generous offer by the beginning, by the end of your slides, that that you could give a coaching to a very fair price, and also
exactly. Anyone who gets that online course for just $39, they will actually get a 20-minute coaching session. So but I won't say it would need to be like today or tomorrow. Like if I can't have that.
What would you like to tackle in this coaching session?
Because 20 minutes, obviously not enough to do a mock interview session, but that could be used to work on your CV. Make sure that your CV is tailored to specific positions, help you identify some tangible achievements, help you work on your job search strategy, and potentially discuss your interview approach. But it will not be enough, obviously, to do a mock interview session. So that will not be enough. But it could be just like one job problem to solve. Maybe you're not getting interviews, right? What can we do with your CV? So should I just send the PDF to you? Yes, should I send the PDF later?
I would suggest you post your email address in the chat within a second, and after you said goodbye to everyone, because we have in the chat here so many email addresses already.
I don't see that. I don't see that chat. It's interesting.
You see the main stage on the right.
Okay, 1 second. So main stage. You can see that. Okay, well, fine. So anyway, this is the link to the e-course. And my email is if anyone has any questions.
So, perfect. Then I would say thank you so much. You gave so many great insights. Such a fantastic offer, and I'm sure you will be boomed with emails.
I'm more than happy to help. Where should I send that PDF? I can do it right now.
Also in the chat if you want, or as also we communicate afterwards. Because now it's time for our next speaker, and I see already here with us. So thank you so much. It's your time to say goodbye, and
thank you so much. Thank you so much as well.
So feel free to disconnect.
Yes.
And then I'm inviting my next speaker.
Thank you so much. I will send the PDF shortly.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So now, there you are. Oh, it's so good to see you. It's finally nice to meet you too.
Same here.
So Iraklis, this is your platform we are on right now.
It is indeed. It's our platform. It's everyone's platform, hopefully.
I like that. That's very kind of you saying this, and I feel very much home here.
That's great. That's exactly the kind of feeling we want to inspire. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a platform that's supposed to bring people together to think about things, bounce off ideas, possibly find co-founders, colleagues, or whatever that is. So it's definitely our platform.
That's an amazing purpose, you know that. So you are an experienced technologist, and you're an entrepreneur heart by heart, and you have built and helped so many startups to scale up. and you are passionate about building products. And today you are here to tell us a little bit, hey, what is the startup life like? So if you're speaking to our audience now, you're going to tell us, yeah, what is the bittersweet truth, and and everyone can decide, do I like it or do I not, right?
Yeah, true. It is bittersweet indeed. You know, it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster, and it has like crazy highs, but like, you know, dangerous lows as well. So it's you know, you have to be very balanced. You have to know why you're in, and in whatever industry or whatever kind of product you're building. And at the end of the day, you really have to be passionate about the core kind of subject of what it is that you're working on. You know, you're gonna have good days, bad days, but as long as you're really interested in what it is that you're building. So let's say, for example, you know, if I had a startup in perhaps cosmetics, perhaps I wouldn't be able to find the drive that I need to find, right? But what it is right now, as you said, it's a mission that I can identify myself with. It's something that resonates with me and my co-founder. Hence, you know, we're very passionate to push through and make it happen.
Wow. Well, that sounds pretty motivating. Are you going to share some slides, or are you just going to speak to us?
No, in typical startup fashion, I haven't prepared anything, so I'm going to go like, you know, completely play by ear. Actually, not play by ear. I think, you know, the best kind of content you can share is actual learnings and anecdotes from your life and your experience. And I think that's, you know, what really people can relate to, especially when they see that it's not just something that sounds like so distant, so shiny, or so difficult, or whatever. It's just, you know, normal people trying to figure it out like everyone else. And you know, it's important to remember that every time you succeed, it's just a culmination of like 1,000 mistakes you've made before. I'm not trying to make it sound like inspirational. It's just true, you know. Everything that now takes me, let's say, for example, less time to do, it's just because I've spent infinite amount of time in the past trying to do it. And that's how it works with startups. I think one important notion that I wanted to kind of debunk today is that, you know, people love to use specific concepts, like let's say startups. At the end of the day, startups have existed for like, you know, many years, if not hundreds. They didn't have the form that they have right now. They weren't always that cool, and you know, people who ran them didn't have to wear like hoodies and be billionaires. But startup is a corner shop. Startup is running a, you know, moms and pops like store, whatever. And that is a startup. Startup is basically something that starts from nothing, led by a few people who are very vested in the venture. And with being vested comes a lot of risk as well. And as you can imagine, when you're that involved in something, you just have to make it happen. You know, you have to make it work no matter what. And that kind of trickles down to the people that are involved as well, because maybe in a startup, it's not just the founders or the owners, but there's also a small team. But that really touches everyone in the team. So I just want to start with, like, you know, just a general kind of understanding of what this means, just from a common sense perspective. And I'm sure many people have seen that, you know, their parents perhaps they had shops, or they still have shops, and they see what they go through and how difficult it might be, or how exciting it can be, and how high the opportunity and the potential is when you do your own thing. So it's just exactly the same with technology. It's just the mechanics change a bit, the techniques change a bit. What you need to be good at is a bit different. And even within tech, it really depends on the kind of tech you are. So I would say one kind of example that I had, I was thinking about this talk today, and I was thinking of, for our friends out there who might be a bit like, you know, older school like me. I don't know if you remember like going to a like fast food shop back in the day, and the guy had the microphone and he used to give the order, and he would say like, you know, 1 cheeseburger, please. And someone else in the kitchen would just make the burger. Startup life, you are the guy with the microphone, or the girl. And you're also then going to the back to make the actual burger. And while you do that, you also clean the floor. So what I'm trying to say by that, is that you just have to wear many hats. And that's the reason why hiring for startups as well is a bit counterintuitive. Contrary to the discussion you had before about, like, you know, more specific kind of requirements and ideal candidates, you don't really know exactly what the requirements are unless you look for someone on a very specific technical capability. What you're looking for effectively is you're looking for people who are very resourceful, because you need to come up with ideas, and you need to come up with solutions where they seem that there are no solutions. You need people who are very comfortable with owning things. Working at a startup is a bit like, when people walk down the beach and they see like plastic bags, and regardless of whether they threw the bag or not, they collect it because it's better for the environment, obviously. This is how it is working for a startup. If you see a plastic bag, you have to pick it up, you have to clean it. Regardless of whether it's you dropped it or whether it's your problem or not your problem, you have to fix it. So ownership is a very big trait, which, going back to the initial kind of the initial subject of the talk, which is what it takes to work on an early stage startup, resourcefulness is definitely a key aspect, a key personality trait. So you need to find people, and actually to reverse that, not to find people. If you are looking for your next, career move, and you consider a startup, I would think that it's critical that you're comfortable with not having all the answers. If you're the kind of person who expects someone to tell you exactly what to do, and you expect everything to be structured, yeah, good luck with that. Startup is probably not going to be the place where you're going to find that, because at the end of the day, no one has it all figured out. Even the founders or the owners, they're still, and you might have built many startups before. Every single one will have different challenges. So there will be moments where no one will have an answer, and there will be no one behind you or above you or anywhere else to tell you what the solution is. So if you're looking to work for a startup, you definitely have to be comfortable with that. You have to be comfortable with owning every problem or every opportunity that you might see. You have to have a very good balance between being impatient and patient. And what I mean by that is you have to be impatient because impatience kind of drives growth and drives you forward. But exactly. But at the same time, you have to be patient because you might lose your mind. Like in a very small team, everything that's happening in your head, all the things that you want them to happen right now, it's overwhelming. Right now my head is like, even as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking of features, enhancements, I'm thinking of everything, right? But you have to contain yourself, and you have to try and find a balance between what can actually happen right now and what is productive to occupy your brain, if you will, and what can happen a bit later, just because there's so many resources you have. Even if you work for the largest corporation in the world, there is only so many resources you can have. So you will always find yourself in a situation where you might not be able to do everything you want to do. Another thing, if you're looking, again, if you're asking yourself, do I want to work for a startup? A very good indication is how much of a fast and avid learner you are. If you find yourself feeling that, I'm very comfortable with knowing what I know and I don't really want to expand much more, or I'm not very comfortable with putting myself outside my comfort zone, chances are that you might find it very, very difficult. If anything, you need to pick up new skills almost every day. And for you to do something, if you only do it because you have to, it's just going to make you miserable, right? You don't want to end up there. But if you do it because it's part of who you are, and you're naturally curious, and it's not my term, but I like it, so I'm going to steal it. It's called, if you're like an infinite learner, which is, it's a bit of a, I guess, yeah, there's infinite information out there. So I guess everyone is an infinite learner. It's just how you pursue it or not. So yeah, if you want to feel comfortable, and if you just complacent with what you know, and you want to be a specialist in your kind of domain, there's nothing wrong with that. And talking about this, one very important thing is the kind of stories we tell ourselves. And even myself, I found myself in the past many times feeling bad about not being good at something that I think I should be good at, and the world expects me to be good at. It's not like that. You have to be honest with yourself. It's your life. No one else is going to care whether you're happy or not. Okay, maybe your family and friends. But what I mean by that is, like, don't do it just because it sounds cool, just because your friends do it, because you watch a movie about it. Do it only if it feels right. The only way to know if it feels right is to try it. So yeah, unless anything that I've said so far sounds incredibly scary, I would definitely recommend it as an experience. I think it's a growing experience. The same way it's interesting as well to work for a large corporation. Personally, in life, I think it's good to have different perspectives. And even if you disagree with something, it's good to try and get that vantage point as well. Because if anything, it gives kind of more angles to you to approach something in a much more diverse and empathetic way. And there's only benefit that can come out of it. There's nothing wrong that can come out of this thing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think what else. So
well, maybe I ask a question, because we have a couple of more minutes.
Sure.
So my talk is right after, so we're absolutely perfect in time. In our previous talk with Margaret Bowie, and she comes from a recruiting place, and she's also coaching people to get jobs and get promotions and to make more money. And in the chat, we had many times the questions, hey, I'm sitting somewhere abroad and I would like to work in Europe. How can I do that? How can I convince recruiters? So is maybe startup a good way to get a job? I mean, would you be interested in working with people with a great qualification in what you need from India, for example?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, by myself, I think that remote work is it's something that should have happened like many years back. There's no reason why you shouldn't work remotely from when the only thing you need is internet connection and a screen, and you can have this anywhere. The problem is that many companies are not suited to work in an asynchronous fashion, because when you work remotely, especially if you work across different time zones, you can't always work like synchronously. It's just unproductive, and it just doesn't make any sense. It's like it just really limits you to what you can do. But I would say that, just to reverse a bit, so this is to answer your question, first of all, that yes, potentially we are working with, remotely with people as well. And even, within the team as well, it's not like we meet every day. We rarely see each other physically, but we're constantly working remotely, right? But what I would say is I would just like to reverse the kind of mindset that, job seekers have, because they're thinking about that the beginning and the end of their kind of contribution to their career is I reached out to many people, nothing happened, crickets, what am I supposed to do? I would say start with approaching yourself as a startup. And what I mean by that is, what is your core value proposition? What is it that you can do better than others? And if there is something that you can do better than others, don't wait for someone to ask you to do it. Just, if you have a free time, everyone hopefully has some free time. Just go out there and reach out and provide some value without being asked or without being hired to provide value. Maybe if you're a developer, find a problem that is common for some other developers and build a small library, put it out there, make a name for yourself. Building an audience, regardless of whether the audience is small or big, it's something that, will always pay off. So I would say the problem right now is attention span. There's so many people looking for jobs. There's so many jobs. It's very difficult to catch anyone's attention. So if you have to think, and if you have to stop and think, how can I position myself a bit more competitively? You just have to proactively create value and not wait for an employer to hire you to see your value. And you can do that in so many ways. You can create content. You can write blog posts, technical blog posts. You can create open source software. You can do all sorts of things. Just generally be helpful and engage with a community that you belong to. And that community can be anything from Twitter to a very niche forum or whatever that is.
Yeah, that's exactly. We had this one question earlier from Janine. She said, how to find a job in tech when you're a junior? And she said she's an iOS developer, and most companies ask for 3 years plus of experience. And so this is exactly, I think, the answer to her question. Just get out there. Something people pointed out.
Sharing your learning journey. So, sorry, was the name Janika, you said?
Janine, yeah.
Janina, yeah. So Janina, just sharing your learning journey. For example, today I'm going to have a 5-minute video on how to set up Xcode, whatever, and maybe you can be a bit more niche with the content that you create. Maybe it can be in your language if there's no more content in that language, or dialect. It can be different in terms of how you deliver the message. But what I'm trying to make everyone kind of understand is that there's always interesting byproducts in the work that you put in something. And those byproducts you can redistribute and you can create something out of it. It's not that it's just information that stays in your head. You can create assets out of it.
I really like this. So when you would hire someone, how can they approach you? What kind of application would you like to see?
Well, I would like to see someone to come forward with an interesting problem and their own approach to it. So I would like someone to tell me like, hey, like, I like the platform or I don't like the platform. Like, we take negative feedback as well. That's fine. But not just like I like it or I don't like it. Here's what I've done with it. I figured out how to do this. So you have a public API. I took the liberty and built this thing that you can add on top of your app. This would catch my attention, right? Then obviously I would want to talk to this person because this kind of behavior encapsulates all the things that I've said before, which is also kind of our core values at Balloon.
That sounds very good. It's almost like we made a loop back to the beginning.
You see, I'm self-consistent. I'm not losing my mind here.
Yeah, it's a good circle of knowledge sharing. So you have 2 more minutes. Is there anything in particular you still want to mention?
Well, I would like to, first of all, encourage everyone to just, stay curious, like try out things. Don't wait for things to happen. Just get out there and start taking actions. I know it sounds overwhelming, but the biggest things in life just start with small steps. So just start trying things. That's what I would say. There's nothing more. It's a numbers game. The more you try things, the more you're going to figure out what you like, what you're good at, what doesn't work. But if you just sit back and think about it in like theoretical scenarios and all that, there's so much you can do that, and it just creates paralysis by analysis. So just do stuff. Get your hands dirty.
Yeah, and I like Shahzad also said this is a great idea. How can we get a sponsorship for an early stage startup? So would you also maybe be interested in working with people in a freelance contract?
Yes, but sorry, the question is how to get sponsor. I mean sponsor like from a visa perspective.
I guess so, yes.
Yeah, I think that's a bit more rare to have a startup to work with someone remotely and actually sponsor them. I think that kind of fits more the full-time employment scenario.
Yeah.
For ourselves, we're still very small, so we're not exploring that yet. But yeah, it could be an option for perhaps other companies.
Iraklis.
Any questions I can answer?
Well, I think we're out of time.
Okay, cool.
And I think everyone can connect with you on LinkedIn as well, just as I did. You're very responsive, even you're busy and your mind is everywhere. And me while you're speaking. It was my pleasure to meet you. Thank you for providing us with this great platform. It's been a blast so far today, and yeah, I think we stay connected, right?
Definitely. Thank you for having me, and hope everyone is enjoying the event and having a great time. And best of luck with whatever it is you're looking for, your dream job or your dream candidate. We're here to help, and keep it up. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you to yourself, keep up the great work. I mean, if I don't know if it wouldn't be to Corona, would you have done what you have done with this platform?
Yes, I mean we're definitely in it for the long run. We believe in it, like that it's a shift in the industry that is just bound to happen. Definitely, COVID accelerated things, but it's something that we're very passionate about, and regardless of the circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Long run, purpose, passion.
Always.
Thank you so much. We see you around, probably also in the expo session.
Definitely.
You have a great rest.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
So
bye-bye.
While Iraklis is disconnecting, so now this is my talk actually. So my name is Sina Landorf, and I'm today your moderator, but I'm also specialized in communication, and I focus on positive communication and emotional intelligence. So my talk today, I called it Communication is the Key, and Emotional Intelligence is what turns the key around. So this is what I would like to speak to you today. And to start, what is emotional intelligence? So what is EQ? And in my talk, I would like to tackle 3 things. I know in the agenda it says 5, but I changed my mind because I'm agile. No, I just practiced my presentation and I realized 5 is too much due to the time. So I'm coming down with 3 things. So emotional intelligence is first the ability to recognize your own emotions. Second, to understand what they are telling you. And third, to realize how your emotions affect your communication. And these 3 things I would like to tackle in my little presentations with you. I mean, of course, emotional intelligence also involves your perception of others. So when you understand how other people feel, this allows you to manage relationships way more effectively. But this is a different level. Today, I will use my talk to give you a couple of insights about what the communication you can have within you. And I speak about your emotions. So have you heard that saying, one cannot not communicate? It is by Paul Václavic. He is one of the great psychotherapists, sociologists, and philosophers of the early 20th century. And based on him, communication is everything, because we cannot not communicate. And if communication is the key to everything, then I say emotional intelligence is what will turn the key around to open any door you want to open in your life. So you are here, and I'm asking you, what kind of door do you want to open next? I know I've watched your questions a little bit, and maybe my talk goes in a different direction than what your pain point is right now. But may I ask you, how do you like to be in a job interview position? It doesn't matter if it's a virtual or a real life situation. Who of you likes the situation where you are in the position, wanting something, wanting the job, and you have another person in the situation has the power to give you the job or not? So who likes this and who doesn't like this? So please give me a little thumbs up and a few thumbs down in the chat. So who likes to be in a position of the job interview? So I kind of don't see anything happening. Is there anyone in here watching? Yes, we have like 200 people. So please give me a couple of thumbs up or thumbs down, because I find it very interesting how you relate to that topic. So still nothing coming. Okay. So let me take you back to the 3 steps of emotional intelligence. Oh, that's great. There's Ryan who says, I actually like it. So Ryan, for example, this is super interesting. And I was waiting for someone who puts a thumb up, because I would love to hear your opinion. And I think everyone else who put the thumbs up of liking to be in a job interview situation, please share with us, what do you like about it? Why do you enjoy this situation? What makes you put the thumbs up in here? Because this is so cool that we have so many people having the thumbs up. And once you share with us what you like about it, we can learn and we can help everyone who is maybe not so comfortable with the situation. And since this is a networking event also, I would like to make it a little bit more networky. So please share what you like about this situation. So, and meanwhile, let's go back to the 3 steps I would like to talk to you today about. So first, recognizing your emotions. Second, understand what your emotions are telling you. And third, realize how your emotions affect your communication. Let us join the following situation. You are a job seeker and you have applied for a job you really, really want. If it's a new position within a company, or if it's a position with a new company, you really want this job and you got the job interview coming up. So step 1, recognize your emotions. So what kind of emotion is it? Is it one clear emotion? If so, which one is it? Or is it maybe a tornado of emotions? So, what do you feel? And that's important. Give yourself that time to notice, to sense, to feel within you, because all emotions want to be respected. And I'm sure you have heard that it is not healthy to suppress emotions. That's why I'm saying give yourself a break, take a moment, and feel within you, what is it? What is going on inside of you? Which chemical reactions are pumping, are shooting through your body? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it joy? Is it disgust? Is it surprise? Is it trust or anticipation? And it's all possible. Even if you want a job and you get the job interview, the variety of different emotions that can hit you can be so large. So it's very important to feel what is it. And now we also have the situation that and it's quite common that we have a lot of situations where we don't feel our emotions. And it happens to me a lot that people say, well, Zina, I don't know about my emotions. I don't know what I'm feeling. And this is what emotional intelligence is quite interesting about. It's not like an EQ, an IQ. It's you can learn it. It's not given by birth. It's something you can practice. And if you want to practice how to be more aware of your emotions, I can give you a couple of tips now. And it depends a little bit on what kind of learning type you are. Are you the auditory? So do you learn by listening, or are you the visual kind of learner that you have to see something? Or are you the kinesthetic kind of learner? Or do you or do you prefer to read and write things in order to learn? So for example, if you're the auditory learner, then I can say, why don't you go on YouTube and search for Hans Zimmer music? He is very famous. He also won Oscars because he is known for the music he creates for movies that are so emotional. So just lean back, put on the music on your ears, and just see what the music does with you. If you're a visual learner, you can also go on YouTube and maybe watch the 50 heartbreaking movie moments. If you don't break out in tears, I don't know. So, or what you can also do if you're a visual learner, you can go through old pictures and check within you what those pictures do with you. Not just look at them from an entertaining perspective, more like to train what is coming up, to test yourself. If you're a kinesthetic learner, that's quite interesting. I had that happen the other day in one of the coachings. With a foodie, with someone who is really interested in eating great food, I said, okay, close your eyes and open your fridge and just feel what you have inside of your fridge. Just grab something and then try to discover what is it. And what is happening within you? Are you excited that there is something? Are you a little bit desperate that you don't know what it is? Are you happy that it's still maybe a full package of juice, or are you sad that it's maybe almost empty? So the game within ourselves, it's just an awareness practice, helps us to learn about our emotions. And if you're a reading or a writing kind of person, of course, honestly, books always help. So, not professional literature, but if you read fantasies or drama or romances, usually we put ourselves in the character, but you can also read stories and going on your own emotional journey, just checking in within you what happens while you're reading. So feel free also to post what kind of learner you are, and maybe you have also another great example of how to challenge your own emotions. It's always interesting also to learn from other examples. So let me come back to this job interview situation, because usually there is not so much a problem of knowing our emotions in that case, because it's a big deal. So the bigger the deal, the more we are able to feel our emotions. So let's come back to number 2. So number 2 is understand what our emotions are telling us. So let's have a look. So someone posted excitement, and what else do we have? Okay, there are many thumbs up. Okay, so there are not so many emotions posted in the chat, but it doesn't matter. Let's say we have joy as a feeling that that we get the job and or the job interview. And joy, I mean, of course, it's a happy feeling. It's a gladness. So what does it mean? Is it joy that we finally got something? Is it coming from a place of desperateness, or is it coming from a place of, oh yeah, this is so great, and I can envision my big future? Or is it maybe a surprise? So also a surprise feeling can be or can have different meanings and backgrounds. So a surprise can be a positive or a negative way. And it's very important that you understand where this or what this emotion is actually telling you, because nobody else can tell you but yourself. Or is it maybe fear? So if you maybe put the thumb down, maybe fear comes up. Or sadness. Fear can mean, oh my gosh, what if I don't, what if I have the job interview and maybe I fail? Or maybe fear is a fear because there is change involved, and change is also, what's going to happen? It's a lot of insecurity. Or if it's anger, maybe anger that it's finally, why didn't they contact me earlier? I mean, there's so many emotions that are taking place within us, and it's important that we know why, because they affect our actions. And this is also something I can only encourage you to figure out how you are handling your own emotion. How will you act or react in situations you are driven by certain emotions? What is your behavior like when you are happy? How does your face look like when you're sad? Can you see it in your own eyes when you doubt yourself? How is your body language when you are courageous? Are you sitting up straight and your shoulders going down and you're like, whoa, I'm ready to tango? Like, your emotions affect your actions. And the more you pay attention to that, the more you're aware of how you're acting. And I'm inviting you to play with your own emotions. Get to know them. I want you to remember from this talk that you can control your emotions. It might feel like they control you, but you can control them. And we have at 5:10, we have another great talk. We have Fareen Shaikh here. She's also a career coach. And she will be here on our virtual stage, and she will go into the detail how to stand out in your virtual job search. But I want you, and this is what I want you to remember, use emotional intelligence also with the job search. So first you can do in the beginning, before the situation is happening, practice, recognizing your own emotions. Then continue figuring out, ask yourself, what are they telling you? Where are they coming from? And then analyze yourself, how you personally act on certain emotions. So, and if you are interested in emotional intelligence, and if you would like to take an EQ, an emotional intelligence test, you can email me And instead of, well, this is quite expensive, but usually the test costs 80 euros, but with a Tech Jobs Fair discount of 50%, I can guide you through this test as well. There you can definitely see what else you can work on towards emotional intelligence if you're interested in that. So now let me have a look at the time. So, because I think I'm already a little late. Un momento, por favor. Let me look at the agenda. So we have 2 more minutes, and since I was speaking, I didn't really check all the questions. So if you have questions left, you can write them now in our chat on main stage. I'm waiting for your questions. And then meanwhile, double checking where our next speaker is at. So please write questions if you have any. And I'm double checking with my team where our next speaker is at. Because so far I don't see him in the backstage area. But other than that, let me look at the chat for a little bit. I'm always nervous, just like you. Contentment after an interview. Yeah, of course. May you suggest some literature? Yes, I mean, of course. There's Daniel Goleman. He is basically the promoter of emotional intelligence. So he gives you all the background about emotional intelligence. It's a very interesting topic. But if you are more interested in learning and understanding, it all starts with awareness. So, and this is you can read about it, but to be fair, and this is how I train myself, is practicing, like really being aware with myself. Meditation helps, and also giving yourself time and be relaxed. And the more you are within yourself, instead of being hit by what's happening outside, like who you're talking to, and you always consider what other people say and think without considering how you feel. Yeah, literature is great, and you can follow me on LinkedIn as well. I always share great articles or information about this topic. How can I control our emotion if I have a fear in interview situation? That's a great question. So that's why I'm saying, like, you ask for a quick tool while the attack is happening you. And what I'm saying is practice now. Start now to become aware of your emotions, because once you're aware of your emotion, you already know within the moment that you have this fear, and you know what this fear is about, that you maybe are feared of not getting the job or not getting an answer right, or whatever this fear is about. And fear is never a great partner once you're in a certain job interview situation. So the practice you have to do is before that. But meanwhile, once you're in the job interview and you feel this emotion and it's blocking you, then I would say take a deep breath, feel the ground underneath your feet, and envision what you want. Be goal oriented. Think of what is the outcome, and be positive. Try it. Like, this is the self pep talk in that moment. Fears coming in, allowing that feel, and then it's like a best friend talk. You say, okay, I know why you're here, I know what you want to tell me, and I get you, and now let's work on this together, because we both want to get this job, we both want a secure situation. And I'm so happy that you all joined in, that you stayed with me. I have Jan now here in my line. He is ready to take over. So I connect with him here on Balloon, and I'm waiting for him to come live. Maybe, Jan, you have to click connection again, or maybe the connection is taking a second. I don't see you just, here it goes. Hey, how are you doing?
Hello.
Good to see you. So, Jan, welcome on our virtual stage. You're the founder of Celeria, and today you want to talk about limitation of React Native, right?
Okay, I will start the presentation. Or can you hear me? Can you give me a sign? If yes. Okay, you can hear me. That's good.
Absolutely
Okay,
perfect.
I'll
Great
start
sound
sharing
and
my
great.
screen now. Okay, so let's start. Today I want to talk about the limitations of React Native. And first of all, I want to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Jan, and I consider myself to be an expert in JavaScript, React, React Native, and I am the founder of Celeria.com, which is a web agency in Berlin. And we develop websites and apps. And furthermore, I'm an online teacher at Udemy.com, where I teach my students how to develop websites in React. And I'm also an offline teacher at the DCI, Digital Career Institute in Berlin, which is a coding school. Okay. So I structured my little presentation into 3 points. First of all, I want to talk to you about the success of React Native. Then secondly, I want to clarify what React Native cannot do. And then lastly, I want to give you a little summary. So these applications here, these apps have been built with React Native. And I'm really sure that most of you know the icons here. And I want to start with a little game. What do you think, which app icon belongs to which business? I'm going to give you like 10, 15 seconds, and you can take an educated guess here, and then I will reveal the solutions. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's start with the first one. I think this one was pretty easy. This is Facebook, also really easy. Instagram, Skype, everybody knows it. And then Uber Eats. This one was also easy because here the title is in the icon. Pinterest and maybe Bloomberg and Discord. You don't know these apps, but they also have millions and even billions of users. So, and all these apps combined have billions of users, which means that React Native is an application framework that is really serious about getting to the top of the application frameworks. So, why is React Native so successful? And let's start with the first point. React Native is platform independent, and this means that you can develop apps for both platforms, iOS and Android. And before there was React Native, you had to develop 2 apps in a separate programming language for 2 platforms. So for Android, you had to learn Java, and for iOS, you had to learn Xcode. So maybe you even had to hire additional programmers if one programmer is not enough. So this is, I think, in our economic context, in our context of having a business, in our context of looking at the cost, this is one of the major, or this is maybe the major reason why React Native is so successful. Now, the second reason is maybe not that apparent. It uses JavaScript. I mean, you can also use TypeScript, but most people use JavaScript for React Native. And now you people may wonder, wait, JavaScript is really ugly. JavaScript is not really a programming language. And JavaScript here doesn't have so many good parts compared to the rest of JavaScript. And I think that these experience that you guys have made are not that entirely false, because maybe let's have a look at this here. So this is like a console, and somebody typed some nice expressions into the console. And here we see the type of, not a number, is number. Great. If we type this really large decimal here in the console, JavaScript magically just rounds up to this decimal here. Great. Or here we see 0.5 plus 0.1 equals 0.6, which is, logical. But at the same time, if you do 0.1 plus 0.2, it's 0.3. This is false. Great. JavaScript rounds up some little decimals here, and nobody really knows why. And if we ask JavaScript, hey, give me the largest number that you have, JavaScript responds with, okay, minus infinity. Or on the other hand, give me the smallest number that you have, JavaScript gives us, infinity. Great. Or here, 2 empty arrays added to each other equal an empty string. Okay. Okay, this is okay, can you hear me now? Okay, so I don't know when exactly the sound stopped working, but let's get back on track here. What I'm just basically trying to say is that JavaScript is not a really well-designed programming language. However, JavaScript developers are in high demand. Why? Because learning JavaScript is quite easy on a basic level. On the pro level, it's really hard to learn. And JavaScript is really versatile. JavaScript is simply used everywhere. And the inventors of React Native, which are basically part of the Facebook company, they must have thought JavaScript is used everywhere. Let's use that for our framework. Why not? And so basically, web developers who are taught in JavaScript, they become React Native app developers. Backend developers who know how to code in Node.js and JavaScript backend, they just become React Native app developers. And of course, the already existing app developers, they just learn some JavaScript and then become React Native app developers. So basically, JavaScript is so widespread that you can use it everywhere, on the front end, on the back end, and even on the desktop now. You can build really desktop apps with Electron.js, for example. And now we have to face the reality here. The reality is simply that JavaScript is accidentally becoming what Java purposely was designed to become: one language for all platforms. So in the 90s, there was this big project Java, which was the dream that one language for all platforms. But right now, JavaScript is the reality that one language for all platforms exists. So, and this is the second reason why React Native is so successful. The third reason is that if you know HTML, then you also know JSX. And basically, if you can design a website or whatever, then you can also design an application, a mobile application for your cell phone, simply by knowing some basic HTML. So you can basically convert websites into apps really rapidly. Now let's talk about something that React Native maybe cannot do. So what about camera? So if you want to build an app and the app is supposed to use your camera, does it work? Yeah, it's supported, no problem with the React Native. GPS, like if you're developing a location-based chat messenger, whatever, GPS, yeah, supported as well, no problem, you can use that. Next one, Touch ID, if you want to create an authentication process that with the fingerprint authenticates your users, works, supported. Shake movement, if you, for example, if you shake your app, if you shake your cell phone around and you want to record those movements, it's also supported, no problem with React Native. 3D graphics, if you want to build a 3D game, supported as well. File system, if you want to read out pictures or files that are stored on your cell phone, works as well. So is now everything supported in React Native? And the answer is yes, but it takes time until a new hardware feature is supported by React Native. But eventually React Native will support it. For example, the camera support. I think in 2017, the camera support was not there yet. So I think it was 1 year later or so, that 2018, that camera support was enabled in React Native library. And now, since React Native is so highly demanded, these delays get shorter, which means that new hardware features that are in your cell phone, they will be supported in a much lesser time span than like back in 2017. Now, another thing, performance. Okay. The ugly truth is that React Native apps use 10% more CPU than native apps on average. And we are just talking about normal apps, like where you have a list of something, you have a CRUD features you can create, you can read, you can delete, you can update something like I don't know, shopping apps or user management apps, these standard kind of apps. React Native is 10% slower than native apps written in Xcode or in Java. And when you create more computative tasks, it takes even like up to 30% more CPU usage. If you want to, for example, create a game, or if you want to create a crypto app, or where you use the CPU more, these come up with like more than 30%. So what about the battery usage? And I don't know if you ever had Facebook app, which was written in React Native, if you had it up and running in the background. When I have it, like, I don't know, my battery really is being eaten up really quickly. And the reason is that React Native apps, they use 20 to 30% more battery than native apps. This is also one thing where React Native has a little downside here. So to sum it up, first of all, React Native is easy to learn since it's basically just based on JavaScript and HTML. So for you guys who are IT project managers or CTOs or senior developers, and you're trying to figure out whether you should school new programmers, juniors, etc., to build an app and learn about it, React Native is really the way to go. Because if they already have some skills in HTML or JavaScript, it's really easy to make the bridge to building an app using React Native. Then secondly, React Native can do everything a native app can do, but there's always a certain support delay. So let's say a few months, maybe up to 1 or 2 years, until React Native supports new hardware features. And then last but not least, React, and this is like a big bottleneck, React Native still faces performance and battery issues. So if you have an app that, I don't know, is geo-based, location-based, and your users are running around in the city or whatever, they don't have any chance to charge their batteries, maybe React Native is not the best choice. So I really thank you guys for listening, and I hope I gave you some insights into my experiences with React Native, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, don't leave just yet. We have a couple of more minutes. And there's one question from George. Does Flutter have this negatives like React Native?
Bye. I hope I'm doing the right thing here.
No,
I don't hear anything.
Hello, can you hear me?
Bye.
No. Oh, maybe my sound is off. Can someone tell me if you guys can hear me? Can you guys hear me? Because Jan obviously didn't hear me. Please double check with me in the chat. Can you hear me? Hello. Yes, okay, that's great. Thank you. So for some reason, Jan obviously didn't hear me, and the question was great. Unfortunately, I think you have to contact him on LinkedIn and ask the question there. And now I'm kind of waiting on my next speaker. I was hoping I could use the extra spare time to chat with Jan a little bit while my next speaker is connecting. But yeah, not always things happen as planned. And I think this was also what what we heard in the motivational speech of the founder from Balloon. He also said that, especially in startup times, if you have a mindset that everything can go wrong and nothing is happening as planned, because this is a startup, you know, if you're looking for, I'm saying certain kind of structures, then maybe a corporate company is the great choice for you. But like for example, technology not always works, and then you have to be spontaneous, and this is a skill not everybody is comfortable with on a let's say daily basis. And startup life, I would say this is a daily basis where you never know what's going to happen next. And as we heard, it's so interesting. Sometimes you have chaos, and in startup, definitely you have to use that chaos and bring it into a certain order, but you have to stand the chaos first. So right now, I don't know, do you guys have any questions regarding our next topic? Because then I could eventually announce Mirko already, Mirko Böhm. He is the co-founder of the Endocode AG and director for open source governance and compliance. And I'm very excited to actually meet him. He's talking about the ambitious way of working. And I don't really know much about the ambition. I know it's part of the Mercedes-Benz family, and I'm so curious for him to come on stage and tell us more what's it all about. And okay, there's a question from Alexander. Tell us about your morning routine to set up for the day. Sure, I can do that. So I am a solopreneur, so I am not working for someone else. I basically make all the decisions on my own. And my morning routine is the following. So I Oh, I have a next speaker. So to make this quick, I start the day with a movement meditation, which is a quite useful meditation to to bring the body and the mind in line. And I'm happy to show you what's it like. So no worries about that. It was interesting because this morning in my morning meditation, I do it every morning, but I do it with the mindset of I've never done it before. It's like the beginner's mindset. So everything that is kind of a routine to me, I do as I have never done it before. And this morning in my meditation, I discovered this one movement. I would like to do it blind, and I just tested it, and in the beginning it felt quite awkward, and then I got into the flow. I overcome this fear of not seeing, and it did something with me, and sort of this is how I feel right now, because I don't know what's going to happen. My speaker is not showing up, and I have our final keynote speaker, Miriam Sandlos. She's already here, and Miriam, if you are here, I'd love to push you up front. Oh, now she's left again. So yes, I guess I'm blind again, not really knowing who to announce as a next speaker, and yeah, it's quite interesting. So this is for sure my morning routine. I can continue speaking about myself and my morning routine, of course, with the meditation, and then I also do this fasting. This 16-hour fasting on a normal day, that I don't eat before lunch, and I'm double checking here with the team, and so I don't multitasking. It's a rumor. I drink a lot, so this is definitely my routine, and I don't take calls before 10. So I do all my emailing and I do all my brainstorming and everything before, and then after 10 I take meetings and I take coachings and I take appointments. So this is basically my morning routine. I would like to be better in journaling. This is something I'm kind of looking forward to 2021 for my New Year's resolution, to continue and have more progress in journaling, to get to know myself a little bit better and also track my emotions. And there are also great tracking apps. I've discovered a couple, but could not implement them as my routine yet. But I think I'm very developed when it comes to analyzing my emotions right in the moment and cool myself down or motivate whatever I need. So I'm double checking here if someone wants to join our main stage, our virtual stage. But I guess our speaker is not showing up. And since the time is processing and progressing, let us hop on a quick break and come back at 5:10 or wherever you are in the world, 10 minutes after this hour. So in Berlin time, it would be 5:10. And then we can continue with Farine Scheik. She's a career coach, and she would like to give a presentation about how to stand out in your virtual job search. And meanwhile, why don't you hop back into our networking sessions and then come back here on main stage. I'm excited to see you again, and I'm happy for all the upcoming questions, and use this day. This is a great potential to network, to learn, to meet everyone in our expo sessions, meet our partners, and I see you in a little bit. Bye. So, and you see in the upper corner, it's connecting. And now we are back on. We are back live here on main stage. And welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great networking session. So as you can see, I have a new speaker here with me online. May I introduce Farine Scheik?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much.
So Farine, you're a career coach. And yeah, you have quite some experience you would like to share with us. And today it is about how to ace in your virtual job search, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes. I actually also have it as a part of my slide, but
Okay.
yeah, should I just go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Share your screen, and then, as we discussed, I just disconnect,
Sure.
and I will follow up with everyone who is wanting to ask questions. I have the chat in mind. I have my eyes on the chat, and then 5 minutes before 5:30, I come back in, and then it's time for the questions, and I knock on gently with my voice.
Sure. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
See you in a second.
Bye. Great. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. There it is. Great. So thank you everyone for joining me today. Really appreciate you spending some time with me. What I'm going to talk to you about is how to ace your virtual job search. Considering that everything is now gone virtual, I think it's extremely important to keep certain aspects, like they could be guidelines or etiquettes, in mind to make sure that you're ahead in your job search. A little bit about me. I basically have more than a decade years of experience as an HR professional. I started off my career as a recruiter. And for some reason, even 11 years later, recruitment seems to be my constant. So I'm originally from India, so most of my experience has been there, but I moved to Berlin in 2018. I currently work for an organization called AceWork. We are a remote working platform. So I have the opportunity to work with candidates as well as companies in their remote job search. And besides actually managing talent in companies, I also am a career coach. So throughout my journey, I realized that job seekers make some very common yet avoidable mistakes, and that's where I felt like I could help individuals, and that's how I started my whole career coaching journey. So what I do today is I work with individuals on their resumes, on their LinkedIn profiles, and interviewing skills. And I will try and cover a little bit about that in the next few slides. And I do also have a surprise for you at the end of the session. So there's going to be a little details about how you can reach out to me, and also a gift or a guide rather from my end. So to dive into the topic, today I'm going to be talking to you about interviews, like what's the purpose of the interview, how do you actually start your job search preparations, how you prepare for career fairs, especially virtual career fairs like today, how do you basically prepare for remote interviews, what are the different kinds, and I've just broken that down again into 3 aspects. That's preparing before, during, and after the interview is over. So to start off with, this may sound really simple, but I think it's extremely important to kind of address the fact that are twofold. So usually candidates always think that it's about the company judging them or wanting to hire them. But as a recruiter and a career coach today, what I would want to give you as a piece of advice is that it is a twofold process. So it's equally important to assess interviewer for you to assess the company that you're working for, and whether the role that they talk about or how they talk about that role really interests you. So that's actually the main goal. It's a two-way street. There are different kinds of interviews, of course, telephonic being one of them, video being very common today, and within that you'll find interviews that are technical, case studies, or just behavioral interviews that ideally happen with recruiters. But how do you act? Before we actually jump into talking about interviews, I just want to give you some brief ideas of how you should go about with your job search. So try and plan strategically. So don't do the spray and pray method. And if you're wondering what that is basically just looking at every job description and thinking that you actually are a fit to the company, and then just straight away applying for them. That way, you honestly would be applying to hundreds of companies and to job roles, but not hearing back at all. So the whole idea here is to actually sit down with yourself, ask yourself, what kind of environment would you thrive in? Would that be a startup? Would that be, a larger organization? Are you looking at for a remote job, or do you want to go back to an office, for example? and ask yourself all these right questions, and then shortlist about 5 to 10 companies that you ideally would like to work for. You need to also resonate with the company values and, of course, the job role. Once you have a list of 5 to 10 companies, your next step would be then looking at their competitors. Of course, if you do come across any role on job boards, they definitely get in the list. But the whole idea is to not, start applying for jobs blindly, but being extremely strategic about which is the company that you feel the best for yourself. The second part would be to, once you do have a list of companies that you would want to apply to, you need to make sure that you have your resume in place. So what I really do and work with my clients is on making sure that you have a master resume, and then learning how to tailor your resume to every new job that you're applying to. What happens with generic resumes is that you probably talk about your entire work history, or rather not relevant work history, and hence you don't really hear back from companies. So the whole idea of tailoring your resume, one, is to make sure that you're talking about relevant details as well as speaking the same language. So you need to at least be a 70% match. So when I say 70% match, you can always start with reading the requirement section, seeing, if you do have the must-have skills, and if you do, you should definitely apply to the role. And then you move on to reading the responsibilities and asking yourself, do you really have that experience? And if you do have that experience, and again, on those aspects, it's 70% match, you should definitely apply for the role. Most of the companies today use a system called an ATS system, and you can also make sure, so an ATS system is a system that kind of grades your profile before it goes to a human. And the best way to beat that is to be a 70% match, not only with the responsibilities, but also, with the keywords. So don't just sprinkle keywords, don't, storm it with a lot of keywords and make the content lose its impact. The third part is your cover letter, which is very commonly found in the roles, both remote as well as roles here in Germany. I would always say, create a hook by talking about why you do what you do, or what is it about the company that really caught your eye, or why this role. The body of the email, the second part, can then talk about some relevant accomplishments. Just give it as a teaser so that you can talk about it more on your resume. And the third part is, what is it about the company that you really resonate with? Then your next section is your LinkedIn profile, where you can also tap into the hidden job market, which is by making sure that you reach out to people. But before you actually reach out to your targeted companies, make sure that your profile is optimized. So I work with my clients, again, from head to toe, from their background image to right below the groups that they are a part of, to kind of optimize it. So when I say optimize it, make sure that you speak up the skills and also tell the right story, so that if recruiters need to find you, they do find the keywords into your profile. If someone is interested to approach you, they get a gist of the work that you do from your profile. Besides making sure that all of the sections are filled out, it's extremely important to have recommendations. These could be people that you worked with, your peers, your managers, and always direct them about writing certain skills or projects that they worked with you on. Always engage with people. So, feel free to write a comment, leave a comment, or like or share their content. And, don't be afraid to ask for informational interviews. For career fairs, you guys may have done a really good job today, but I would say in the future, if you do have more career fairs that you want to be a part of, make sure that you research about the companies that are present there. Have your elevator pitch in place. Your elevator pitch basically talks about who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do. The why basically is, why should a company actually be interested in the kind of work that you do? What basically makes you different? Attend the presentations, and always keep your questions ready for the recruiters. So, ask them about the role, the hiring process, if there are any professional development activities that they can be a part of, and what exactly is the company culture. And lastly, once you're done with the career fair, and if there's any company that you really are excited about, feel free to reach out to the recruiter, just connect with them on LinkedIn after, maybe applying to the role, or even if you don't, you should still have them as a part of your network, because the more you engage on LinkedIn, the more they will have you on their feed. And if you're interesting enough, maybe not for an immediate role, but if for a future role, they would reach out to you. Just touching base on the important video interviews, there are two kinds. One is synchronous and asynchronous. With synchronous interviews happen when, if the candidate and the interviewer at the same time, and that usually happens through Zoom or Hangout. Asynchronous interviews happen pre the interview stage. So the companies would ask you a couple of screening questions, and then they would ask you to record the video. And for that, for both synchronous and asynchronous videos, the next few slides will actually touch base on that. So preparing before the interview, you need to make sure that you research about the company. So research about the company on their website, on their social media, Glassdoor, which I would say take it with a pinch of salt, but reach out to current and past employees. Then I would tell you to know your job inside out. So make sure that you're tailoring all your answers and your resume to the job description. Research the company and your industry. If they're not formal, then I would say, just dress up casually, like maybe semi-casual. But if you're applying to a company that is more formal, then, even if it's a video interview or if it's an asynchronous video interview, you should be dressing up exactly like the company culture. Practice common interview questions. You can always Google, basic behavioral questions. Or title-based questions. So if it's an HR interview, talk about common HR interview questions and always prepare them in advance and make sure that you're weaving in the company culture as well as your experience in it. Test your equipment, make sure that your internet is fine, your mic is working, your lighting is fine. And always also prepare for questions with the interviewers. So list down a couple of questions that you would want to ask the interviewer and ask them, because it's the foundation for the interviews to come. And last but not the least, always rest it out a day before the interview. Don't stress too much about it. Have a good night's sleep, and have some hot tea with you while you actually give the interview. How to create the right impression during the interview. So always, hi, do I have only 5 minutes?
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Okay, sure. I should wrap up in 2. Great. So always look into the camera and smile so that, you create a feeling of actually looking into that, maintaining that eye contact. Take your time and answer the questions. If you feel nervous at any point, always ask them that, I need some time to think. If you think that you don't know the answer, you can tell them, can we come back to this question? So make sure you kind of do that. If you're taking notes before the interview, do write, do let them know that you will be doing that. And always have an open, positive body language. Don't shrug, don't fold your hands like this, but just always be happy and positive. And that will definitely show. And lastly, to stand out with your interview, what you should be doing, definitely, I mean, I've been interviewing for so many years and I don't find a lot of thank you messages. It's just a nice way to tell someone that you appreciate them spending some time with you to get to know you better. So drop in a thank you email pretty much at the end of the day. If there's anything that you think that was missing to be discussed, you can also add that in an email. It's a great way to create that impression. Connect with them on LinkedIn, because you already, now they have a face to your name, so don't hesitate from doing that. But I would always follow up on email. So, don't do that on LinkedIn. I would just follow up with them on their professional ID. And you can follow up with them, between 3 to 5 working days. And always probably, end it with an open-ended question saying that, when can I reach out to you? Is the next 2 or 3 weeks a good time to get some feedback? Yeah, that's pretty much like I always tell everybody is that, it's not so much about you being judged, but also playing an equal part. In the interview process, always go with a couple of questions or an agenda in mind, and you definitely will be fine. In case if you would like to work with work that I do, that's my website. That's fareenshake.com. Like I said at the start, I basically help people with resumes, LinkedIn, their LinkedIn profiles, and interview skills. I'm offering a 20% to anybody, and that's the code. It's only available to the end of this month. but feel free to use that. And besides that, that is a link to an interview guide, especially a remote interview guide. So if you're looking for remote opportunities, the questions differ a little bit. So yeah, all you can do is just take your camera and just get the scan of the barcode, and you should receive the guide.
Thank you very, very much. This is your applause. Even it sounds a little bit funny. It was meant to be an applause.
Thank you.
So you have a couple of mentionings, no Monday morning interviews. And there seems like you have a fan base out there. So please, can you post your email address so that everyone who is interested in working with you contact you via email? And of course, I mean, everything will be on your website, but it's maybe a nice approach that you can share your email address and then have a one-on-one discussion with everyone.
Sorry, everything is going in caps, but I think you guys should get this. Yeah, that's my email address.
So as everyone kind of noticed that we do have a speaker switch. So we would have had Mirko before you, and now he is here. And I was asked if I can make this opportunity that we may squeeze him in like after you. So if there are no further questions and you are also willing to talk on an individual level,
sure.
Please share all your contact information, and everyone reach out to Farine. She has a full stack of knowledge when it comes to getting the job you want. And thank you so much for being here, for sharing all your knowledge. And
thank you so much.
You have a great evening.
Yeah. You too. You have a great day.
So thank you for being here. And now I would like to welcome Mirko on stage. I already accepted his request, and you should see him online with me. Mirko Böhm. He is the co-founder of the EndoCode AG and the director of open source governance and compliance. But I think this is not what we are going to talk about today, because we are going to talk about ambition and the ambition way of working. Ambition is part of the Mercedes-Benz family, and I'm extremely excited because I actually don't know much about it, and I can't wait to hear more from him. And I hope you are also quite excited. And now I'm double checking with Mirko one more time. Dear Mirko, when you hear me, can you please click on join again, or maybe the connection takes a couple of seconds longer, because in my opinion, I thought I accepted you to come online, but as it is obviously, I don't see you just yet. So please eventually click on disconnect and join again, or click on the join button again, so that everybody can follow your presentation you have prepared for us. So we know it works because I have seen you before, Farine, online. So everyone in the audience, please wait a second. I'm receiving a message. I'm receiving a message from Farine. So Farine, please, can you post your email address on the chat for main stage? You posted it on the backstage chat, but thank you so far. And I'm asking Mirko one more time. Oh yeah, I see now he's logging out, and I'm sure he is back in any second. So I'm accepting now again and hope that he can be with us. It's quite exciting, isn't it? So, new tool, new experiences. So far, so good. So far, the technology has been great. And I don't know, maybe it's the internet connection that's kind of interesting. So I accepted the request, but I don't see him live and I don't see him backstage anymore. So now he's back on backstage and just keeping you posted what's happening, so what I see. And Mirko is requesting to come live. So I click on accept on the green button. And I promise I did that at least 3 times now. It can't be me. And if so, my deepest apologies. So it's waiting for him to come live. And maybe he's tried a new tab now, because I saw him disconnect and connect again. So I don't know, please bear with me, stay excited as I am, and I can nothing do but just rebel here. I got the information he logged in via Chrome, which I did too. So I'm also on Chrome. I don't know, how do you guys stream this, the virtual tech jobs fair? Are you also on Chrome, or are you using different browsers? So still waiting on Mirko, and normally I would draw in maybe some videos or something, but right now we have to wait a little bit. Un momento, por favor. I don't know in any other languages. So I guess there's nothing I can do right now. I get the information from backstage, he is coming, and I see Mirko is there. It seems like a connection problem, because I don't see the pop-up that I can allow him on stage, which is necessary for him to enter. And yeah, I'm kind of thinking I see our next speaker,
Okay.
Miriam. Hey,
See
there
her,
you
can
are.
see me.
I can see you, Mirko. Hi. You're live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I'm already on stage.
Yes, you are already on stage. We are live, and we're so happy that you're here. I already introduced you a little bit, but I think today we're going to talk about the ambition way of working, right? Oh, now we lost him again. So Mirko, one more time. We just had you here, so please let's be positive and try one more time. You are here, so please click on join one more time, and then you're hopefully with me. And everyone in the audience, please bear with me. So I see he is connecting. He's coming backstage. Now I'm waiting on the...
This is amazing. How many times?
But now you're here and the stage is yours. I want to give you most of the time you could possibly have. So 10 minutes.
Okay. Let me...
Thank you.
Do you all see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay,
if something goes wrong, I come back, okay? See you in 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. And hello, everybody. Sorry for the technical trouble earlier. We had a bit of a miscommunication about time. I'm Mirko Böhm. I work with Ambition, and I built the open source team there. And I would like to talk about how important open source is in today's tech workplace. So as many of you know, software products today are all hybrids. There are all combinations of proprietary and open source code. And we basically build almost nothing from scratch, right? So if you want to be a part of state-of-the-art software engineering projects, you basically need to be prepared to combine open source and proprietary code and build products based on that. That also means that only the core competencies of each business are developed in-house, and that open source projects today, they're not driven by hobbyists, they're driven by the industry primarily. We deliver software basically in ever-increasing turnaround times. It's going very fast, which means that for you, knowing how to integrate open source proprietary code is absolutely key And kind of a complementary aspect to this is license compliance. It's the idea of making sure that when you use code, that you integrate and document it in a way that you don't violate any obligations from the licenses. And that's because it's a rare skill, and the challenge is an absolute key skill. So if you are well prepared to manage license compliance in a software business, then I think that's a pretty good start. In the industry, we have started to develop an like a mantra, basically saying we either differentiate, we write code that basically makes our products unique that customers see and decide to buy our products based on that, or we collaborate with others. We basically want to avoid developing anything in-house that exists already. And that means for you that everybody needs to be aware of two different cultures. One culture is that of competition, right? Building the best product, best design, feature, price, everything that is relevant there. And the other culture is that of collaboration, working with others, being an equal among peers, etc. And this in turn means that soft skills get more and more important, because especially the collaborative environment is driven by merit. We call it a meritocracy sometimes, and by consensus. So you will have very few top-down decision-making processes, many lengthy arguments, and if you can find consensus in an argument of diverse people in a large group, then that's another key skill. Another aspect that I find very intriguing today is that software engineering is becoming very interdisciplinary. It's not enough really to just know about coding. It's important, but it's only one aspect. And open source makes it even more interdisciplinary, if you will, because we're pulling in a lot of aspects from fields like business administration or legal. So, for example, questions on how to design the agreement with a supplier that works with you, or a partner that works on the same software as your company, or how you deliver software to your consumers, requires a deep understanding of how the software industry works, of how the delivery processes shape out, and of course the legal basics on how you get into an agreement. And the interesting thing here is that these are basically overlapping skills, and most people can master one or two, and you're already rare. And if you master three, then you're pretty unique. So I can only recommend to make sure that everybody hones their engineering skills if you're going to work in the tech industry, but be aware that other areas are becoming just as important. And similarly, if you, for example, come from a business administration background or from a legal background, knowing and learning a bit about engineering, kind of stepping to the other field, is equally starting to become more and more important. So software engineering is interdisciplinary. And this was basically the idea of giving you an impression on how important open source software has become in the workplace of today's tech industry. And I'd like to give a few recommendations on what this means for you. The first one is that open source, the idea that you collaborate on platforms where others can see your code, it separates your personal reputation from that of your employer. So you should probably consider your participation there as a form of social networking. Your contributions will be visible for a long time. They will be indexed. People can search for them. And if you, for example, become a key contributor to one of the important projects, that is as important as any degree you may have, right? So, and interestingly, in recent months, we've seen a lot more remote work, and remote work even accelerates this trend even more, I think. That's because we get more and more used to working with people that are not sitting at the same desk as me. So we'll judge them based on the results that they produce. And that is very in line with the culture of open source. Show me your code, right? Show me what you have done before. And that allows you to build basically a portfolio of your personal work and share it and make it visible even to other people you may work for in the future. But the tech industry is also a complex place. It's very fast paced. You can't spend any time doing something that you just do for the money, really. So people said, choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. And I can say for me, that's true. I love what I do. I like software engineering and I like open source a lot, and I help people do that. And so my recommendation to you is to make sure that the job you apply for matches your personal interests and the development you would like to take. And if you have the feeling that you're treading water, you're basically busy staying where you are, then I think it's really time to either switch careers with where you work currently or look for something new. And keep in mind that basically it's a long career until you retire. So building up your skills is not something that ends when you graduate. So what you learn in school in today's very highly accelerated world of technology, it has a short lifetime. So you learn principles, you learn how things work, and you don't stop doing that, basically. So we have a saying for software engineers: if you don't look at the code that you wrote 2 years ago and you're ashamed of yourself, then you didn't improve enough. So make sure that every code that you write a year from now looks a lot better than the stuff that you do today. And that leads to kind of one of my key messages, and that is the 10,000 hours rule. They say that to master a field, you need to spend 10,000 hours, right? So you practice and you improve, and that's a long time. And we sometimes speak of software craftsmanship in the sense that people over time become very good at what they do, in that you can absolutely rely on the quality of basically every line of code they write, and then having things integrate, they don't fall apart, and they're also easy to maintain. And that's a rare skill. So, and it goes hand in hand with the don't stop learning when you graduate recommendation. So be prepared for basically continuous learning, always improve, and remember that a job title that says senior something means you're old. And I'm saying all of that against the background of Ambition. Ambition is a Daimler company. We develop the software for Mercedes-Benz cars, and we're located in Berlin. We have a very open culture and an excellent team. And I'd like to mention, yes, we have all the benefits, but I'd like you to have a look. This is what you work on if you work with us. So think about it. Thank you. So I was told I have only 10 minutes time, so I did it in a fast pace.
Your fast pace was so passionate and caring, and I could have listened to you an entire hour. So I'm very devastated that I had to shortcut your presentation. And is there a way you are comfortable with to connect with everyone who is interested in working for this, what you just showed in the freaking car picture?
Yes, we have a booth, a virtual booth at this conference. Look for Ambition in the expo area, and I will hang out there for another 30 minutes. So if you have questions, you can approach me there.
That's fantastic. So please, everyone, move over to our expo section section, and maybe you can also have an opportunity how to connect to a career team, or that you have maybe a website you can post in the chat what kind of positioning needs to be fulfilled. And just to give you a little bit of a heads up, we had many questions earlier on from our audience who's also maybe sitting abroad, are interested in working in Europe. So maybe also this is quite interesting, how you can support with visa and so on and so on. So this is what we have heard today a couple of times, just for you to know.
All right, thank you. So I'll head over to the booth and see you all there.
Exactly. So meet Mirko in the booth in the expo session. And now I'm extremely excited for our final keynote. And thank you, everyone, for being so adaptive and so flexible with us. And it's been an interesting day, but we are here finally with our final keynote speaker. So Mirko, you can disconnect here. You can. Okay, he already did it. And now I'm inviting Miriam to click on the join button. And of course she does. So I accepted you, Miriam. And I'm very happy that you can join us because Miriam Sandlos, she's a business consultant and she's a coach. And she wants to talk to you about the power of change. So, hey, it's good seeing you.
Hello. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, come again.
I was just going to ask how you're doing.
I'm fine, thank you.
I don't really want to kill your time announcing how great you are. I think I give you the rest of the time for the content you would like to provide for us with the power of change, because you came up with your own empowerment and coaching method. And please enlighten us. Miriam, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Sina. So I tried to figure out this presentation.
Oh yeah, you can click on this little button.
Yep.
And then choose.
Okay.
And I come back in before the time is over to give you a heads up time.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
I see your screen perfectly.
Okay, but wait. Okay. Now there we go.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Cool. So I will start. I don't see anyone. I only see my presentation, but I hope this works. So imagine it is New Year's Eve in 2019. You're full of dreams. You're celebrating the New Year's Eve and had a very good time. And then all in a sudden, a few days later, a few days or weeks later, the world changed. The world stood still. Not only one or two countries or one continent, no, it was the whole world. It said the world is temporarily closed. It was the time the world discovered COVID-19, unforeseen and unknown, a pandemic which most of us never experienced before. This was a significant sign for change, not only in one area, not in the whole world. And especially the economy was forced to do something. Not only to do something, but be really creative and innovative and to do things differently. And today, thank you, Sina, for introducing me. Today, I would like to talk to you about the power of change. As Sina already told you, I'm a business consultant and coach, and I don't want to explain too much about my person because I understood we don't have a lot of time, so I will hurry up a little bit to tell you a little bit more about the power of change, especially in this challenging situation. So you all know probably this, and I would like to go and ask you, how did you experience this time of change, this challenging time? I don't know if I can see your comments. I try to figure out, because I would love to have a little bit interaction if this is possible. But I don't see nothing. So okay, I don't see no comments. I tried to do this, but Sina, in case you're there, maybe you can help me a little bit, or Ashok. Or maybe no one is writing. Okay, otherwise I just go on. So we all know this video conferencing, and for example, how Zoom changed from 10 million up to 200 or 300 million, and also Slack and Microsoft Teams experience a lot of more users through this challenging time. Our new world, this is a short outline. We discovered, it's just a summary, COVID-19 shocks and aftershocks, viruses and microbes. Creative innovators globally and together will rise above the virus. Rapid changes drive growth in both directions. So work-life rebalance, scientists, engineers, domain experts get back more seats at the table, which is really good also for you. We have digital transformation, acceleration, rise of on-demand services as economic growth driven continues for consumers and workers. Governance role in stabilizing and stimulating economy and jobs must be enabled by modern technologies. And 2020 is step function year for technology and healthcare. Traditional sports, okay, also post-COVID-19 evolution provides real-time engagement tools for other business. So the world has really changed, and it's a great chance for you. But change always needs a vision, a clear vision. Without this clear vision, you have a lot of uncertainty because you don't know in which direction you want to go, and chaos could easily happen. So how could you avoid this? I will go later on with you into developing a vision, and now because the time is we only have 8 minutes, I will hurry up a little bit, but I want to show you the top 10 skills which changed also from 2015 to 2020. We have, okay, number one is still complex problem solving or coordinating with others, critical thinking. But what I really want to highlight is the point of creativity, which is in 2020, the part of innovation and creativity is really key and will be key also in the next years. So life is your creation. And for this creation, you need a clear vision. You not only need a clear vision, I mean, the vision is the first step. Then you have to find the strategy and a clear action plan, of course, but you start with a clear vision. Otherwise, you don't have your goal. So with a clear vision, you have a clear goal, you jump, you be motivated, and you can master the uncertainty because you know your aim. Also, if the way may change, but you know your aim. And it shows you a way towards something bigger. What do you need for an inspiring vision? Here's a checklist for you. Oops, sorry. You have to ask yourself, does the vision transport a concrete picture of the future? So you would like to see and feel and sense really, really exactly how does it look like. So like athletes, do some mental training and see how they run and win the prize. You will have to have this picture in your mind, and you will feel those feelings when you reach your goal. Are meaning and benefit of the vision comprehensible? Does the vision create trust and give the people around you orientation? Is it obvious in which role the company would be perceived in the future, and which contribution does the vision provide to the future, e.g. for the customer, for a better world. And the vision connected to the reality, so you have to do a reality check. Can you really reach it? Yeah. Is the vision inspiring and motivating to your staff, and especially for yourself? And I want to ask you now, although I can't see you, just a little bit pity, but I would like to ask you, do you have a clear vision? And especially in this current situation? Or when was the last time you spent time to review your vision? It might be long ago, it might be not so long ago, but I would like to invite you to find or rework or define your vision now with me, just for a few minutes. Are you ready? The only thing you have to do is relax and close your eyes. I will guide you through with some questions, and we start. So let's start. So imagine it's the 31st December 2021. Where are you? What do you see? What do you hear? And maybe smell or taste? You're sitting in a chair reflecting a wonderful and super successful year. How does the room look like? Or where are you exactly? What did you achieve? Where are you living? In this moment, you see all the different pictures and memories of you. And then 3 years later, where are you then? It's 2024. Who is with you? What did you achieve? What makes you really, really happy? Or what made you really, really happy? Who is with you? How do you feel? And then another 7 years later. So in 10 years, you're sitting in another chair, or maybe in the same chair. You're reflecting 10 years, 10 successful years. What did you do? How do you feel? And what did you reach? Who's with you? What do you see? And what really, really makes you happy? Maybe where do you work? What do you achieve? What did you achieve? And then slowly and steadily come back. Take a deep, deep breath and just come back and open your eyes. And then write down what's your takeaway. Just a few words What did you see? What did you experience 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now? Write down your vision. And this could be your vision and your power to change. And don't forget, be creative. Use all things you want to do and create new ideas. Be flexible and yes, be colorful. And this is just a reminder. You are the change in the world. You have the power to change with a clear vision and a clear goal, and with the creative mindset and with your collaboration and support each other. So together we will change the world. I say thank you very much, and I wish you all the very, very best. And if you have any questions, you're super welcome to contact me over my email or over LinkedIn. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, wait. This is my applause. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I tried to scope in a little bit of a virtual applause for you.
Oh, thank you.
Miriam, thank you so much. I think we couldn't have had a more on point closing keynote. You touched my heart, you touched my soul, you got me on this journey of where I want to be. And I didn't write it down in the minute, but I had a couple of great visions, and I'm so much with you. If we know what we want, we can achieve it. If we don't know what we want, how can we achieve it? It's not, there's the missing link. Would you mind to write your email address and your LinkedIn link also in the main stage chat, so everyone can communicate on their goals, on their visions, on what 2021 on the 31st of December should be achieved from the heart. And
that would be amazing. I would love this. Really. Let me, my LinkedIn link, I will have to figure it out, but I will check it.
It's probably your name anyways. But Miriam, thank you so much for giving us a different approach. I mean, we have had so many hard skill factors here today, and you just gave another vision of an important key factor that will embed everything that's a hard fact. So I appreciate you taking the time. I apologize for the short switch in your keynote. Still, due to that time, you did an excellent presentation, and I would also like to get in touch with you after this. So I will knock on your door.
That would be amazing. I would be very happy. Thank you very much for having me. I wish you all the best, and all participants here as well. Thank you very much, and I will post my link from LinkedIn here in the chat as well.
Thank you. So feel free to disconnect with your video, so I can bring on Ashad Dadhat. He is the founder and the initiator of the Tech Jobs Fair for today, for saying goodbye, for our last closing words, because we spent a whole afternoon together learning about different kind of technologies, getting insights, talking about emotional intelligence, but also learning about how to create a CV. And yeah, the most important part was for sure also the networking and the expo session. So the stages of the networking and expo sessions will remain open until 7 o'clock. So you have at least another hour to exchange. And I've seen in the main stage chat so many email addresses, so many profiles, so many of you said, hey, I'm looking for a position in this field. So please, everyone, just go through the chat again, connect with each other, build a network. We heard in so many keynotes also, it's important to build a network, and this is what this conference is for. And I think we went pretty smooth, went also with smooth and different little changes in the agenda, but we went smooth through this day, and I hope that you could take a lot from it, that you had great moments of inspiration, of informative content, and I'm still talking and hoping that Ashok will come up in the goodbye ceremony to say you all goodbye, but I'm not very sure. If that's not the case, oh, he is. There he is. Thank you, Ashok, for joining in one last time, because we do want to say thank you, because you're the man who made all this happen and all this work almost last notice. And this is also for every one of us the first time being here in this virtual version of the Tech Jobs Fair. And thank you for showing all the companies that have attended as our partners, that are here with us in the expo area. So please use this one last hour and connect. I know it's late, especially for everyone who's zooming in from India. It's quite a late hour by now, but it's worth it to make connections, and as I said in the beginning, train your interviewing skills. And in my session, I ask you if it's a thumb up or if it's a thumb down. How do you feel in a job interview situation? This is your moment to test and to work on your abilities to network. So Ashok, can you maybe add the slide of saying thank you for being here, because this underlines what my heart is saying at the moment. And oh yeah, thank you to all our partners, of course. So the whole team of the Tech Jobs Fair have created such a great network, so many great companies that are supporting us, that are with us, and please stay with us. You can connect on LinkedIn, you can connect on social media, and we keep you posted when the next live event is hopefully going to take place. But since COVID-19 is still a mystery to most of the cities, we will keep you posted. So follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on all other social media channels. And Ashok, we say goodbye.
Hi, Sina. Thank you very much for today. You did a really wonderful job. And once again, I would like to also thank to all our exhibitor and media partner and community partner, and also our team. So still this event is running, so feel free to go to network and expo. There you can meet many people and you can make connection, and I hope everyone enjoyed today. So we're looking forward to see you on our next virtual fair and also the physical fair.
Thank you, Ashok. Thank you very much. And one last thing, and then we can close off main stage. So you have made it happen today, or you and your team. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the whole team. That we are over 1,900 people here at this virtual conference. So well done. Ashok, this is your and your team's applause.
Thank you. And I would like to applause for you with this.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for watching.
You also
Thank
did
you
a
for
great job.
bearing with me, even in moments of I don't know what's going to happen. Thank you for supporting the speakers. Thank you for supporting this event, and I wish you great success in finding a job. Network with everyone, get all the tips you need, and there's always a way. Think positive. There's always a way. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. So see you in networking area.